love, what's up? Welcome to Confidently Uncomfortable. I'm your host, Jago, health and lifestyle coach and not so regal confidence queen. Coming at you with the real, the raw, and of course, the uncomfortable. My mission is to show you that to be confident, it has absolutely nothing to do with being perfect or having it all together, and everything to do with you getting uncomfortable and pushing your limits. Thanks for joining me. Let's dive in. Hello and welcome back. Last week, I talked all about how your 2022 resolutions are meaningless. And you know what? I didn't want to leave you hanging. So I know I was promoting my Start 2022 For You challenge, and I'm going into a 3-part series with that. And I thought about you all, and I'm like, you know what? I want them to be able to be here for this too. So I've decided to share the 3-part series with you guys here on the podcast. It'll break up into 3 parts. I can give you a little breakdown on what that's going to be like. Today's part 1 is called Find Your Core, and it is all about leaning into your core values. And I'm really looking forward to just taking some time to reflect on what matters to you. Talked about the importance of being grounded in your values when setting goals, and this is just going to take that one step deeper. So listening to this episode is going to bring you a lot of value, but if you're ready and you're like, I want more, I want to really take some time and think about this and reflect, then I highly suggest you click the link in the show notes and go ahead and get registered for the free challenge. I can't guarantee how long it will be on there, but for now it is going to be the 3-part series. You'll get the actual video modules. I appreciate you joining me here today. This is definitely a special 3-part series that will help start you off with a really strong vision going into this new year. You're going to hear in this episode the audio from part 1 of my free Start 2022 For You challenge. So again, if you're interested or watching the video that goes along with this episode because you want to see my face, no shame. Go ahead and click the link in the show notes. You can get registered for that. You'll have access to those modules as well as the workbook, and it'll just help you take an even deeper dive into your vision for the new year. So the entire series and workbook, it's going to be available for free. I'm offering that to you guys for free because I just want to give you guys some value going into the new year. Click the link in my show notes. If you've already done the challenge and you just want to share the love, I highly recommend you copy and share this link with some of your friends that you think would benefit from it. This is a really unique series, and it's a different approach than probably what you've ever done before when it comes to setting your goals for the new year. This is different than just aligning resolutions. This is about really being grounded in what matters to you. You'll get a lot of insight in this episode as you listen. It's normally something I reserve for my BCB clients, but I felt led to share it with an even wider audience. So I hope you enjoy it. Be sure to share your thoughts, and if you're ready, let's dive in. Hello and welcome to day 1 of my Start 2022 For You 3-day New Year Clear Vision Challenge. We're starting day 1 focused on our core values. You are going to find your why. We're going to discover what motivates you, identify your why, and figure out why you chose to join this challenge, what your why behind what you want out of 2022, and really identifying our values. So we're going to start with finding your why, because so often I will have people come to me and they'll be like, Jago, I want to get healthier, or I want to, lose weight or whatever. And these statements, none of them are bad. However, they can be really general, and sometimes when we're not feeling actual connection to our goals, we just feel obligated to say these goals. We're not actually going to reach what we want to accomplish out of our entire year. And so this goes beyond just goal setting. This is about really creating the vision you want for your life. And I want you to feel so connected to your vision that you know it's exactly what's meant to be for you. And that's how you're going to call it in this year. If you cannot change into the person that you want to be right now in this moment, most likely your why is not strong enough. And I was guilty of this too. So there's no shame in that game. It's just knowing if you have gone through, diet after diet, if you've tried to create new habits, but things always get in the way, identifying your why is going to be that first step. And so if you've done this with me before, we're going to get even deeper with it. So follow along and we're going to discover what motivates you internally and externally, identify what you want and then why you want it, as well as be very aware of how we speak about these things. Because a lot of times, our inner mean girl, as soon as we think, okay, I want this in my life, our next thought before we even finish getting the desires out of our mouth is, you can't accomplish that, or you could never do that, or you're selfish for wanting that, or whatever it is. I call them your inner mean girl thoughts that come up for you. That's going to be more what we focus on day 2. So for now, we're going to be really focused on what motivates you. So let's start there. So let's talk about internal versus external motivation. So if we don't know what motivates us now, it's going to be really hard to figure it out 4, 6, 8 weeks from now and beyond. That's why so many challenges are just like 30 days, right? It's these 30-day challenges because usually someone could maybe keep it together for 4 weeks, but if they're full of restriction and they're just kind of limiting themselves and it's not really realistic for long-term goals, it's not going to last. And so I'm so proud of you for taking this approach this year with your resolutions, with your goals, and with your vision in 2022, because we aren't going to take that approach that's about short-term gain. We're going to figure out how to create long-term results. So let's figure out what you're motivated by. So focusing more on just numbers. I don't want you to just focus on, okay, I want to lose X amount of pounds. Let's try and create some other goals that are within that. And so an example of that is if you want to lose weight, maybe it's that we want to get stronger because as you increase muscle, it can help you lose weight as well. And maybe within that goal, you have a goal of holding a plank for over a minute, or squatting your body weight, or being able to complete 25 full push-ups, or do 1 push-up or 1 pull-up, whatever it is. Basically, once we start to identify some things that you want, we're going to create some smaller goals that are going to help be those benchmarks along the way. It's good to have some external motivation like that. So reaching those small goals, those small steps along the way can really help motivate you to keep going with your goal. This is a really important aspect of working towards your goals that keeps you from being stuck in the all or nothing mindset, stuck in the perfection mindset where you think, oh, I have to do everything perfectly. I don't know about y'all, but I used to do rules where I would write down like all my diet rules or all my workout rules, and they were very strict and pretty ridiculous. And if I messed up, like the second I would mess up, I would feel so guilty and shameful because I didn't do it perfectly. Or maybe you're someone that spends time just trying to educate themselves on what they should do or what their program should be, but never actually take the action to do it. Having small, tangible goals along the way are what's going to actually help you start taking action. So that's why with these challenges, I want you to start now taking action before the day even ends. So we'll be thinking about that when you're identifying your why, when you're creating some goals today, and we'll definitely go from there. As far as internal versus external motivation, internal motivation, there might just be, feeling of sense of pride. There's a lot of different things that can go with that. I go into that more in my Body Confident Blueprint program. But another thing with external motivation, and we'll talk more about external factors on day 2, but external motivation isn't bad. It's not bad to be motivated by, okay, I have an event coming up or I have this coming up. However, I can't have that be your sole reason for wanting to create change. Remember when I said I want you to be really grounded in your why? If you're only working towards a short-term goal of like wanting to lose a certain amount of weight before your wedding day or before vacation, you are creating this all or nothing mindset that's making you restrict yourself, hate yourself in the meantime. And then if you mess up, you feel absolutely terrible. Whereas if you can find a good balance, you're not having to diet on every single vacation. You're not having to do anything crazy. You're not having to work all-nighters for your business because you've chosen to map out what you want based on your why and feel really grounded in it. So let's really break down and find your why. So if you're trying to create some goals, let's break them up into different categories. It's okay if you're listening to this, you're doing this challenge and you do have some weight loss goals. That's totally fine. But I want you to ask yourself why, and then ask yourself why again. What do I mean by that? If you say, okay, I want to lose 15 pounds, why? Why do you want to lose that weight? Well, I feel like I need to weigh what I weighed in college. Okay, why? Well, I feel like That's what's going to make me confident. Okay, so really you want to feel confident. Regardless of that number, if we can get you closer to confidence, that is going to be a win for me, regardless of that number in weight loss. Again, it's not bad to have the number, but a lot of times the number is just made up in our head. We have this number on the scale, we have this number of jean size, we have this number, whatever, and that's not actually going to help us. So I want you to really dig deeper and ask yourself why beyond that. So appearance goals are great if you want to feel good, if you want to look good naked, I'm all about that. Feeling comfortable in your clothes, shopping at a wider range of stores, not be negative towards your body when you're in the dressing room. All of these can be some really nice goals along the way. We're working towards maybe the overall goal of feeling confident in your skin. Another one can be physical abilities. I talked about this earlier. Physical abilities. So this is where we're taking like day-to-day tasks and energy. You want to improve your sex life. There's nothing wrong with that. It's actually a very important part of our life. You want to, focus on, quality of life, things that you're doing, maybe your abilities. Getting specific with that is great, and trying to create some goals beyond that. So again, there might be an overall goal. I want to, be healthier, or I want to get out of being pre-diabetic, or I want to avoid some of my family history with their health, whatever that is. But what are some things below that are going to get you closer to that goal? Let's create some smaller goals and then ask ourselves why. Why does this matter to us? Because if we don't figure out why this matters to us, we're not going to feel connected to the goal itself, and it's going to be fleeting. And 4 weeks down the road, once February hits, we're done. We're done with that, right? And I don't want that to be the case. I want you to feel very connected, and we'll get to your values that are going to help you with this as well. Now, your health. Again, a lot of people say, I want to be healthier. Okay, what does that mean? What do you actually want out of health? Is it that you want to sleep better? You want to get more sleep? Is it that you want to, lower your blood pressure? Again, with family history, is there things with that? Do you want to lower your chronic disease? Do you have joint pain or anything like that? Those can be things that we can get really specific with, instead of just saying, I want to be healthier. Because again, I've talked about this before, but if you give a general statement, it's going to really hold you back from actually achieving these tangible goals, from reaching the goals. Because if you, eat a carrot one day, technically, are you healthier? I mean, no, not necessarily. You're not more or less healthy from one thing that you eat, but maybe it makes us feel like we are. And then it pulls us back into old habits because we hadn't really focused on, well, what does that look like long term? And I want you to do that. I want you to know why behind it. Psychological goals are really important as well. So increasing your self-confidence, maybe lowering your anxiety, depression, being an example. A lot of people, this is theirs, of motivating their loved ones, their kids, their family, their friends, healing their negative self-image, whatever those things are. And then ask yourself, why? Why do I want that? Why does that matter to me? Because that's going to really make a difference when you're reaching towards these goals, okay? It's easy for us to feel behind when we're reaching towards goals. It's easy for us to feel like, if we didn't hit our goal exactly, maybe this is how you felt at the end of the year, as you were thinking, oh, I messed up on my goals, or I didn't reach everything. And the truth is, we're all on our own path. And so a reminder that I tell myself and I tell my clients in Body Confident Blueprint is telling yourself, I am exactly where I need to be in this moment. Maybe there was a lesson that you needed to learn previously before you could get to this point and really focus in on your vision for this year. And, as hard as that can be, because maybe you went through some hard stuff, it also can be a blessing in disguise, and recognize that there can be a lesson to learn from this. So anytime anything comes up, instead of being like, oh, I'm failing, I messed up, instead ask yourself, what can I learn from this? What can I pull from this that's going to still help me step into who I know I'm created to be? I want you to focus on motivation outside of other people. I don't want you to just be externally motivated by, affirmation and people telling you you're awesome. Listen, I'm all about words of affirmation, but if you don't believe those words yourself in your own heart, they're going to fall empty. Okay. They're not going to hit you the same. So it really matters how you care about yourself first, and then we'll go from there. We'll talk about changing your words. You can read more about that in the Find Your Why worksheet. But if you are trying to create goals and then you're immediately telling yourself, coming up with all the reasons of why you can't accomplish these goals, guess what? You're being your own worst enemy. You're cutting your feet out from under you. You're holding yourself back from actually achieving what is possible for you. And so I want you to be really hyper aware today and the rest of this week and beyond of your words. If you catch yourself saying, I can't do that, or I'm trying to do this, or I wish I could do that, or I want this, you might think, well, what's wrong with those words? Well, let's kind of break it down. I've talked about this before, but if you say that you want something, it's really easy to feel like you're lacking. So I want this. So it's like you're reaching towards something that isn't attainable for you. Instead, you can say, I have this, or I have the ability to create this. Saying I wish is like saying it's some like wish on a magical fairy world. I wish I had this. It's out of control. It's disempowering. Instead of saying I wish that I could, get this job, or I wish that I could make this amount of money, or I wish that I could lose this weight, say I create all the possibilities to reach this goal, whatever it is, fill in the blank. I create. That's so much more empowering. I can't, that's my least favorite C word, y'all. Like, don't use that word because it is so disempowering, because you always have the ability to learn. So even if you feel like you can't do that, there is something that you can do. Okay. So figure out what I can learn to do this, or right now I can do this. So shift your words if you're recognizing that that's happening. The other thing is when you say I'm trying, this is a really big one that I hear from people. I'm trying to eat healthier. I'm trying to, stand up for myself more. I'm trying to, start this business, whatever it is that you're trying to do. The reason we say that is because we have such a fear of failure that we would rather say I'm trying, because it keeps us from being fully committed. It keeps us from being all in. And if we're all in, that's scary as hell, right? That's so scary to say, I am an artist. I am a full-time business person. I am a full-time mom. I am, all in to be the healthiest I've ever been. We're afraid to say those words out loud because we feel like if we fail, if we do anything that's not perfectly going towards those goals, then we've messed up, and we shouldn't have even said that. And it's quite the opposite. If you allow yourself in your mind to think beyond just I'm trying and tell yourself, I am all in, I will do this. How much more powerful does that sound? A lot. Yeah, absolutely. Going back to our core values. So figuring out your why is a really big part of creating your goals, but I want you to first start with what are your values? What do you value in life? We don't ask ourselves this very often, so I'm looking forward to doing that with you. You'll definitely take notes on finding your why. Feel free to print this stuff up. However, we are going to be talking about identifying your core values. So, this is something that I did, and it absolutely changed my life. I've created this based on the 7 Steps to Discover Your Personal Core Values by Scott Jeffrey, as well as Black Sheep by Brent Menswar. So when you're starting with your values, you want to not come in here judging yourself. You don't want to have any preconceived notions. And you're going to, instead of thinking what you should say, you're going to really see what feels most aligned with you. It's really easy for us to say certain values in certain words because we've heard them our whole lives of like, that's good. Like I'm like, we're all focused on service or optimism or, accomplishment or whatever those goals are, but they might not actually align with you, and that's okay. Also, when you're creating these core values, it doesn't mean that you don't value other things. It's just really important to feel connected to your core when it comes to the values when you're making every single decision. So I created a list of personal core values just to kind of help you choose, because when I first did this, I was like, I don't really know different values. So there's a lot of different ones I have on here. If you find other values that you want to add on, you absolutely can, but there's going to be ones that you pull from and just that really resonate with you on a deep level. There might be things you're like, yeah, I like accomplishment, but maybe you really, really align with collaboration or community. That's a big one for me. Creativity might be a really big one for you. Maybe it's education. Maybe it's, you really like self-development or personal growth are big for you, or truth. You really value integrity. There's a lot of different ones. So kind of go through them and ask yourself, like, does this feel aligned for me? Do I feel connected to this value? If you have a lot, we can start to narrow it down. Don't worry. Sometimes when you're getting in between the meaning of them, you can actually look up the definition. And that can kind of help you parse between two different ones if you're debating between them. How can we start to really get a better idea of our personal core values? Because if I just give you a list and you're just picking them randomly, that's not aligned. So before you go into that list, you can kind of start to pick some out, maybe even highlight them. But then let's come back to what you value. Let's think back to your experiences in life. So you can think back to just this past year or just overall in your life. Think about like a meaningful moment. So a peak experience in your life. I think about it like a core memory. I don't know if y'all have watched that movie, Inside Out. It's like a great Pixar movie talking about our emotions. And it's amazing if you have kids. If you don't, it's great for you as well. But that core memory that would be saved for you, that was just a high, a peak experience. Think about at least one right now. And think, what was happening to you? What was going on? And in that moment, what values were you honoring then? Okay. And sometimes we might think of value as just like loyalty or something like that, but adventure could be a value. One of my peak experiences when I quit my job as a working at a gym, and me and my husband, at the time just boyfriend, traveled across the US and slept in the back of his truck. That was our camping. That was honoring adventure. And so that's one of my core values. And so if you're not sure, just kind of start to write out those peak experiences. And that can help you start to figure out, oh, this was a peak experience because I value this. Your peak experiences might look very different than someone else's. And there's no right or wrong. There might be something that sticks out to you and you're not even sure why it's a peak experience. You just remember feeling just overwhelmed with joy or happiness or any of those things. So those are peak experiences. Next thing you're going to do is look at the opposite direction. So think about like a suppressed value. So something that like when you got angry, when you got frustrated, when you got upset, like think about an experience like that. Maybe it was recent, whatever it is. What was going on? What were you feeling? And then take that and flip it to the opposite. Okay. So whatever you were suppressing in that moment, whether it was anger, maybe you're looking more towards happiness. If you were feeling controlled in that moment, maybe you're looking for freedom. So there's no right or wrong, but it helps you create even more experiences, recognizing what do I want less of. So maybe there were some things that you were doing that were suppressed values. Maybe you were feeling like people were walking all over you and you want to feel heard, you want to feel connected. By taking the opposite direction, it helps you flip the script and figure out what you do want to call into your life, what values you are connected with to your core. And then also asking yourself this code of conduct. So what's most important in your life? Beyond your basic human needs, what must you have in your life to experience fulfillment? It's different for everyone, but like what lights you up? What do you think brings you passion and makes you feel fulfilled? It's different for everyone. And don't come back to what you feel like you should say. Really think about, for you, what is that thing? What are values that you must honor, or a part of you feels like it's dying? You're going to take those values and really kind of put them into groups. So you might have noticed that you had certain things that really go together and you'll group them. Okay. So take what you can and basically take values like accountability, responsibility, and timeliness. Those are all about overall being responsible, right? Learning, growth, and education or development, those would all be tied together. Connection, community, belonging, intimacy, those are all can be grouped together. So I basically went through and took my list, and then I took different highlighters in different colors and then grouped them like that. If you're unsure of them, it can help to look at the definition if you want, or just kind of choose what feels best for you. Okay. It also might help you take one or two that you're like, I actually don't feel as connected to this anymore. If that's the point, if that's where you're at, that's okay. You'll highlight the central theme of each value group. Basically, you're finding a way to define that. And so what is the theme behind it? if, like, for example, if you have honesty, transparency, integrity, and directness, find one word that represents all of that. Okay. If it is one of the words that is within the list, that's okay. But if you can find a word that really encompasses all of that, that's even better. For example, integrity might work as a central theme for the values above that were transparency, honesty, integrity, and directness. Integrity really hits all of those, right? It's okay to still keep the other words in the group, but we're really basically creating it down to get down to your core values at the end of this activity. So you're going to use them again. So just hold on to them. You're going to take this and then determine your top values. So ask yourself what values are essential to your life, what values represent your primary way of being, and what values are essential for supporting your inner self. Okay. And when it comes to values, it's really easy for us to get confused. And I don't want you to let that happen. If you need to do this in different parts, I think I took a couple of days to do this. If you can start to get your list of values together, that's awesome. And then if you want to sleep on it and wake up the next day and continue, that's totally fine. The reason that I actually created space between this challenge and my vision board party is because I want you to be able to absorb this. So if you don't completely finish it all in one day, it is okay. All right. That's going to be the next thing. You'll also create your definitions of your values. So once you narrow them down, you're going to give your values richer context. And so basically, looking over the worksheet, you'll get help with this, but you're going to highlight the values into memorable phrases or sentences that help you articulate the meaning behind each value. I'll give you an example. So if you said that you had a core value of health and you want like the feelings of energy and vitality, you might say health and then to live with full vitality and energy every day. See how you were able to use the other words from that theme of core values into your definition? That's a great way to do it. An example here is I had adventure. I'll break them up, but adventure, and then I wrote to explore the world and always keep my spontaneous creativity that leads to new discoveries and fun challenges. So that definition was created off of the theme of adventure, spontaneity, creativity, and discovery, I believe, or something like that. Maybe it was challenges. So basically, I took the definitions and created my own context behind it. So you're creating more depth to the definition. And so using the words that you have as your sub definitions, you're able to create a bigger context to it. So I feel very connected to these. So integrity, to stay grounded in who I am and always show up as my true self in everything that I do. Is that the Webster definition of integrity? No, it's my definition of integrity, and it's connecting to other values that I feel connected to and created that theme from. Okay. So hopefully that makes sense to you. It takes a little bit of time. And sometimes when we're doing this activity, we're like, I just want to accomplish my goals. I just want to, start doing this. Like, why is this taking forever? And we haven't taken time to do this. So give yourself the freedom of saying, like, what if this is exactly what I needed to do, was slow down and get reconnected to myself before I dive into these goals? Because honestly, it's probably what you needed. So for today's core values, think about this as you're creating your mountain. Okay. So I told you there was going to be a metaphor in here. So you want to have this strong mountain. You want to be unshakable and rooted and grounded in everything that you believe in. But if you're jumping to what goals you want to accomplish, what next thing you have to reach, what money goal you have to reach, what weight goal you have to reach, but you're not actually feeling connected to what matters to you, you are down the road. It's not going to matter. You're not going to care. But if you start doing things that are connected to your values, regardless of what happens, you're going to be unshakable. Okay. And so let's create your strong mountain today. So what I want you to do is start with asking yourself, what is my why? Why did I sign up for this challenge? Okay. Figure out why you signed up for it. What is it that you want to get out of these next few days? And then also, what do you want to accomplish in 2022? Just kind of an overall type thing. If you start to just kind of brainstorm and write stuff, that's awesome. But then ask yourself after you started writing stuff, why? Okay, why do I want this? and then continue to write about why it is that you want this. That'll help you kind of create your why. You can have those different categories of goals that you'll see in the why worksheet. And remember, when you create these goals, I want you to identify the motivation behind these goals. So whatever it is that you write down for your goals, that's awesome, but ask yourself, why? Why do I want to achieve this? Because I know I will be able to show up more for my family. I know that I will be able to, live a long, happy life. I'll be able to travel more on my own. I'll be able to, if I have more money, I'll be able to, support my family. I'll be able to go on nice trips, whatever it is. Those goals are going to connect to those values. So if you see, it's all connected. So you're writing down your goals, it's connecting to the why. Why do you want it? And ideally, those whys are connecting to your core values. And so if you feel very confused about your values, let's go back to there first and identify what it is that matters in your life. Because if you start to create some goals and you're like, okay, well, I said I wanted to have more freedom with my schedule, or I wanted to work less, but I have these other goals that are saying that basically forcing me to be at this job longer, or, I don't have that financial freedom. We need to re-identify, and maybe we need to shift and not even have any goals for that job, because maybe we don't want that job anymore, or maybe we need to shift with something else. And so it's really important to be aware of that, because I have plenty of clients who will start with a weight loss goal and then they realize, I wasn't even looking for weight loss. I just wanted to feel confident in my skin. I just wanted to feel confident in bed. I just wanted to, feel confident speaking up in front of a room full of people. And so if we can start to identify that first, it's going to make everything else really fall into place. So start to get clear on your values, complete that values worksheet. However, you don't have to do everything in one day. So if you could start, where would you start? I would start with first identifying your why. So get really clear and find your why behind joining this challenge, and then what you want to accomplish out of 2022. Creating some small goals. You can choose from those different categories if you like, based on that worksheet I gave you. And then identify, what do I value? Okay, using that values worksheet, you're going to create those peak experiences as well as the things that are the lower experiences. So what are things that you want more of in 2022? Based on these values, what do you want more of in 2022? That's a question I definitely want you to think about, write some answers for, share. I would love for you to write about it and share a little screenshot. What do you want more of in 2022? It might be a paragraph. It might just be one word. Peace, confidence, whatever that is. So I want you to write down, what do you want more of in 2022, and share it. And then I want you to also think about, as you're writing these goals down, there's probably something else that you have. What is that big, scary goal you're almost afraid to say out loud? It scares you so much. For me last year, my big, scary goal was hosting a live retreat. Okay. I wanted this for a long time, but I kept it to myself. I didn't say it out loud until about 3 years ago. And then when I started to say it out loud, I started to just take action steps towards making it a reality. And then what did I do? Made it happen. If I had not said it out loud, I don't know if I would have actually done it. I probably would have chickened out, because I said it to the people that I'm most connected with, and they helped me step into my highest self to make it happen. Okay. So think about, what is that big scary goal you're almost afraid to say out loud, and write it down. You don't have to say it out loud yet. Just write it down first. Okay. And then maybe share it with one person. Hey, this is my goal. Maybe just say it out loud to yourself in a mirror. And remember, instead of saying, I want this, or I wish I could do this, change it to, I will create this. I will do this. I can do this. Whatever makes it more motivating for you, and not motivating, but you're speaking it into existence. And so instead of allowing those negative self-talk, if anything comes up when you say it out loud, remind yourself, hey, that's not true. Quit trying to talk myself out of it. Let's just say it and keep going. Thank you for being here for day one. It was jam-packed with a lot of different things. Tomorrow, we are going to be going deep into auditing your environment inside and out. It's all going to be about creating space for abundance. We've created our mountain in day one. This is going to be really about your stream and creating the path to get you where you want to go. Okay. Weaving through obstacles, identifying limiting beliefs, auditing like what our current reality is like, and seeing, is that really the environment that's going to support what I want out of life, or what needs to change. So it's going to be a really good one. It's going to be an eye opener. So make sure that you are ready for it and absorb it all. Don't give up on yourself. If you don't get everything done in the first day, don't be like, I quit. Remember, we're breaking up with all or nothing. So maybe it's going to be a win for you to not complete everything in one day and to still start the next day. I know that sounds crazy, but it could be exactly what you need to do. These are something that you're probably going to have to go through multiple times. I want you to go through each day, the day of, try and get at least some of it started. So we're starting to take action. And then after the 3 days are over, absolutely start to implement those changes and then get ready for the vision party that we have. Thank you guys for being here today. I appreciate y'all, and make sure that you take a screenshot and share your work and tag me, and I will see you tomorrow. Whew, I know that was a lot of information. And again, if you want to download the workbook and start doing the actual work to implement this into your own life, I highly recommend it. But if you just want to take some time to reflect on what matters to you, I recommend just, maybe putting your phone away for 5 to 10 minutes and just going out for a walk outside and thinking, am I aligned with what I want out of this life? Are the things that I value things that I'm bringing more of into my life? And what kind of shifts can I make? And that reflection will just get you to have a lot more intention going into the new year. And overall, I just want you to feel so lifted up and know that it's not about perfection. It's not about having crazy goals for the new year. This year, I want you to start 2022 for you. And it starts with just taking that first step. So whatever that is today, I want you to take that step for you, and feel free to share it with me. I would love your feedback, and I'll see you on the next episode for part 2. Thanks. Thanks again for listening to Confidently Uncomfortable. I love being able to connect with you here, and honestly, don't want it to end. So head over to my Facebook group, Body Confident Blueprint, and be sure to follow me on Insta at JGoFitLife. Also, if you're ready to get real confidently uncomfortable, go leave this podcast a 5-star review and email me the review screenshot, support@jgofit360.com, for a chance to win a free 30-minute fitness audit and goal setting session. I appreciate your support. See you next time.